What if you were told that you are not just a part of God's creation, but that you are God?
Yeah, that's a pretty mind-bending idea, isn't it?
It really is. So today we're plunging into a lecture by Neville Goddard. This one's from 1969 called God Became Man. And, well, prepare for some seriously surprising perspectives.
Definitely. And for anyone listening and thinking, wait, hang on, what? That's, totally understandable. Goddard's viewpoint in this particular lecture offers a truly radical take on our relationship with the divine. Our aim today is really to unpack his core arguments, try and get to grips with this unexpected way of seeing things.
Exactly. Our mission, if you like, is to explore Goddard's central claim, and it's a big one, that you are the God who became man, that man may become you.
That specific phrasing is key.
Absolutely. And we're going to stick strictly to the ideas within this lecture, see what, eye-opening insights we might find. Okay, let's dive in then.
Right. So Goddard certainly doesn't hold back. He starts with that phrase, God became man, that man may become God.
Which sounds familiar enough.
It does, but then crucially, he immediately flips it, inverts it. You are the God who became man, that man may become you.
Ah, okay. So the emphasis shifts entirely.
Precisely. What's particularly interesting here is this focus on, reversing our usual way of thinking about it.
So he's urging us to think of ourselves as God.
Yes, it's not about some separate being who decided to become human. It's about our fundamental essence being, divine beings who chose this human experience.
He actually says something like, you were God before you devised the grand experiment. Right?
He does. Knowing it was the only way that man could become as you are, it reframes the whole dynamic.
So humans aren't lesser beings that God sort of condescended to become.
That's his point. Instead, we are the original divine beings who took on human form. And, this foundational idea then shapes how he interprets Scripture.
Which makes sense. And he goes straight to the Bible for support. Started with Psalm 82, is that right? Verses 6 and 7.
Yeah. I say, you are God's sons of the Most High, all of you. Nevertheless, you will die like men and fall as one man, O princes.
Okay, so identifying us as gods.
Right. But what's significant in Goddard's reading isn't just that identification. It's that our current limitations, our mortality, they're presented as a temporary state.
Temporary?
Yeah, like a deliberate choice made from a position of inherent power. It really turns the traditional idea of a fall from grace completely on its head, doesn't it?
It does. Wow.
He connects this directly to the idea that we and our Creator are one. So the human experience isn't a punishment or a mistake, but a specific kind of journey undertaken willingly.
Okay. And then he moves on to the 22nd Psalm, the one starting with that famous cry.
That's the one, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? But he doesn't just dwell on the despair. He emphasizes the ending, which has this triumphant feel.
How does that go again?
Posterity will serve him and proclaim that he has wrought it to those that are yet unborn.
Okay, and how does that fit into Goddard's bigger picture?
Well, if we connect it back, he sees this psalm as basically representing the whole journey of the divine, which he says is us becoming human, forgetting who we are, and then eventually rediscovering our true divine nature.
So the forsaken part is the forgetting.
Exactly. That feeling is part of the initial, amnesia of taking on humanity. And the triumphant ending, that marks the awakening, the remembering.
Right. Now, here's where it gets, even more thought-provoking for me. He says the crucifixion wasn't a historical event, not in 1 AD.
Correct. He calls it a timeless event that happened at the beginning of time.
The beginning of time.
Yeah. And he brings in the term Elohim from the very first verse of Genesis. In the beginning, God Elohim created.
Okay, Elohim. I know it's often translated as God, but it's plural, isn't it?
It is. And Goddard interprets Elohim not as a singular God, but as, quote, a compound unity of one made of many.
A compound unity made of many. So like a collective.
Exactly. He argues we are the gods who created the heavens and the earth. Now, understanding Elohim as this collective is, it's crucial to his whole framework.
Because it means divinity wasn't a solitary act.
Precisely. It suggests a shared undertaking, directly involving us in our original divine state. This directly supports his later claim that we are the gods who created everything.
Wow. Okay. And then he shares something really personal, doesn't he? His own sort of reliving of becoming man. tied to the 42nd Psalm.
He does, yeah. It sounds like a very profound, almost mystical experience. He talks about hearing a voice declare, "I am God," in the act of waking,
They're dead.
followed by this sensation of like whirling in space and feeling himself being drawn into what he calls a crucifix, where his hands, feet, side, and head became these intense focal points.
The crucifix. Like literally.
More symbolic, I think. For him, life itself became one with man in that moment. It wasn't just life entering man, but life becoming man. This intense sensory thing he describes, becoming one with this crucifix. It seems to represent the process.
The process of the divine taking on human limits.
Exactly. The cross we all bear, you could say, but undertaken consciously, deliberately.
And he specifically says, he took upon myself the cross that is man to bear and raise it to the level of love. That idea of love keeps coming up.
Absolutely. Love seems to be the ultimate purpose, the driving force behind it all. He sees even the difficult parts, the suffering in human experience, as integral to this grand design, something made in love and must be raised to the level of love.
Okay. And then there's another experience he mentions, 139 days later, involving his son, David.
Yes. His only begotten son, David, revealed me as his father.
But he's very clear, isn't he, that he didn't become the father then.
That's right. He explains, "I was always the father, but came down and took upon myself the cross that is man to raise him to the level of fatherhood."
So fatherhood isn't about a separate God, but the fully realized divine self within.
That seems to be it. It's achieving that state of awareness, remembering who you truly are.
Which then leads him back to the 22nd Psalm, verse 10. Deliver my life from the power of the dog. And he talks about a specific Hebrew word.
Yachid, yes. What's particularly illuminating, he says, is that Yachid translates as "my only son."
Ah, so the plea isn't just save me from the dog, it's save my only son from the power of the dog.
Exactly. It changes the focus. It's about delivering the son aspect, this potential for revelation.
And he connects that to another Psalm, 16.10. Thou wouldst not leave my soul in hell. But his interpretation of hell is unusual too.
Very. He says hell means uncovered, to disclose, to reveal.
Uncovered, revealed, so not fire and brimstone.
Not at all, in his view. Hell is a state of being hidden, concealed, unrevealed. So the plea, "don't leave my soul in hell," becomes a plea for revelation.
So that the Father can be known through the Son.
That's the idea. The Son, David, in his experience, is the key to revealing the Father, the true divine self.
Okay, and he then ties this back to his own vision, the one with the two men and his son David being freed. And he links the dog from Psalm 22 to a male temple harlot in that vision.
Yes, this is where his interpretations become quite specific, drawing heavily on his personal visions and understanding of biblical symbolism. It can get a bit complex.
The core theme seems consistent.
Absolutely. It's always about this true divine self being concealed, hidden, maybe even forgotten, and then needing to be revealed or remembered.
Right. So let's pull back a bit. What's the overarching reason for all this? Why this descent into human form in the first place, according to Goddard?
His answer is pretty straightforward, actually. Love.
Love.
Yes. He states the descent by the Elohim, by us, in our original state, was done out of love for their creations, to raise and glorify them.
To raise us, the human aspect.
Exactly. But to do that effectively, we needed to completely forget our true being in order to assume our creation and raise it to our level.
So forgetting was necessary, like a deliberate amnesia to fully commit to the human experience.
That's how he frames it, like a grand act of empathy almost, experiencing what they, or rather we, created from the inside out in order to ultimately elevate it all.
Okay. Then he shifts gears slightly, doesn't he, to talk about, well, modern progress. He seems critical.
He does. What's noteworthy is his contrasting view. Instead of celebrating technological advances, these greater and greater mechanisms, he worries we're losing sight of the lordlier humanity within.
So focusing on the external at the expense of the internal.
Pretty much. He sees the truly enduring, important story as the I am, our divine essence, taking on mortality. That journey is more significant than just building better machines.
And he really hammers home our infinite nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
Quoting William Blake.
Yes, we build mansions in eternity in these ruins of time. It emphasizes this sense that our true existence transcends our current limited human perspective.
He also touches on conscience, contrasting his view with the popes at the time.
Right. He mentions the Pope asserting conscience must align with church doctrine. For Goddard, though, conscience seems tied more directly to this inherent divinity, this inner higher truth, not necessarily external authority.
And there's another personal experience he shares, becoming Six Fortis's the Magen David, the Star of David, and linking Christ to imagination.
Yeah, imagination's power and wisdom. This really highlights how crucial personal experience and, importantly, imagination are in his system for realizing this inherent divinity.
So Christ isn't just a historical figure somewhere else.
Not for Goddard. Christ is a principle, a power imagination that is now unified with our own being, right here, right now. And awakening, in his view, involves sort of reenacting the drama of Scripture within ourselves through imagination.
Which is why he urges people to really dwell on these ideas.
Exactly. Dwell upon what I have told you, he says, suggesting that contemplation itself can trigger this awakening.
He also delivers a really powerful message about inclusivity, urging us to condemn no one. How does that fit?
Well, it flows directly from his core premise. If we're all the Elohim, the gods who descended, then we collectively created and agreed to experience all human roles, all actions.
All of them, even the bad ones.
That's his implication. He says, no matter what he's ever done, you have done it, will do it, or are doing it now. If we were all part of creating these experiences, these parts to be played, then there's ultimately no basis for judging another because they are just playing a role we also created or are playing.
That's quite a perspective on judgment.
It is. Very challenging.
Okay, so finally he talks about the return, the redemption. What does that look like?
It sounds like a process of, well, remembering and reclaiming our true identities. It's about lifting the current human part we're playing back up to the level of the true self, which he identifies as God the Father.
Lifting it up.
Yeah. He uses this dramatic imagery and explosion within the skull, the freeing of David the Son, which is the revelation of our true nature as the Father.
And then what?
A return to the heavenly sphere, the collective consciousness of the Elohim, but enriched, bringing back the wisdom gained from the human experience, ready to share it. The ultimate goal being the redemption of all creation.
So if we try to boil it down,
Mm-hmm.
the really fundamental takeaway seems to be this radical idea of your inherent divinity, that you, listening right now, are essentially God.
Yes, God who has, in a sense, deliberately forgotten that truth through the very act of being human.
But with the potential always there for remembering, for awakening.
Exactly. And that perspective, well, it truly challenges almost every conventional understanding we have of ourselves, of God, of reality, of the whole purpose of our existence.
It really does. So considering this perspective, how might it shift your understanding of your own potential, the nature of reality itself?
Mm-hmm. What if the limitations you perceive, the struggles you face, are actually just part of this grand experiment, part of the process of remembering who you truly are?
That's definitely something to chew on. This deep dive is really just scratching the surface, isn't it?
Absolutely. If these ideas have sparked something, made you curious, we'd strongly encourage you to maybe seek out Neville Goddard's original lecture, God Became Man.
Yeah, do your own deep dive into these pretty fascinating concepts. It's quite a journey.